I'm Tim Baldermann, and welcome to this episode of Too Honest for Social Media. I've got a couple of great guests meeting me here today in the studio. Of course, we do this podcast because people are really tired of what's happening in government. They're starting to stand up for themselves, and they're tired of feeling like government officials at every level just serve themselves and not the people. And unfortunately, on social media, it's become a place where lies and conspiracy theories and everyone's an expert put things out. And unbelievably, to this day, people will read something on social media and believe it. So we're here bringing in guests to these podcasts to talk about different issues that will affect the people here locally, state level issues and federal issues, whatever it is that's affecting the people. And today I've got with me from our Public Works Department here in New Lenox, Mark Brow and Chris Skiniotes. Mark, why don't you start? Tell us a little bit about your background in this line of work.
Thank you, Mayor. I started out as a part-time employee in the village of Glenwood at the age of 16. Did that for 3 years, worked full-time there for a year before I moved to Hazelcrest for 3 years, and then I came to the village of New Lenox in 1999. Working in the street department, moved over to the water department as superintendent in 2014, and then 2021 I took over as public works director.
All right, excellent. Chris?
So I'm straight out of college. I came to the village of New Lenox in 2009 as a part-timer. Worked here for about 3 years part-time. After that, I got a full-time position in 2012. I've been here ever since. I started as a laborer, moved up to a water operator, and then I actually took over for Mark Brow as water superintendent in about 2022.
All right, 2022. All right, if you don't move a little closer to that mic, we're going to get in trouble from Don, so I'm going to tell you. And now you've got your foot on his back trying to kick him out the door so you can take his job. Is that right?
Absolutely.
And I tell you, the way things are going, it may not be long. All right, Mark, I guess it all depends on how this podcast goes. Let's see what you've got to say.
What do you got?
Well, what we want to talk about, and you've supplied a lot of these issues. This is important. People, the services that we provide, whether they're police department services, public works, and all of the umbrella that public works is, you know, the water, sewer, all that, streets, our village hall services, people rely on that. And there's an awful lot that you do. And in your particular department, all those things I just mentioned, it's not always seen by the people, but it's absolutely critical that we have clean streets, that our streets are repaired, that we've got clean water, you know, these sorts of things. So we're going to talk about some of these issues today. Why don't I start just by asking you, you look at social media, you get phone calls into your department. Tell me about a couple of the things that people really have misconceptions on. What are some of the regulars that you see?
You know, I think that Public Works in general gets the, oh, what do they do? But we're always out on the streets. We're doing something. We're fixing a street. We're fixing a water main. We're doing preventative maintenance. You know, nobody sees the water mains. Nobody sees the sewer mains. That's not sexy. It's not, you know, these big sports complexes and museums and buildings. It's underground. Nobody sees it. So it gets taken for granted. It takes a lot of work to maintain those. And that's what we're out there doing, is trying to maintain those so we don't have to replace them as often. It's, you know, preventive maintenance goes a long way.
Well, let's get into an easy one, because the one thing that people do see quite regularly and comment on is the snow plowing. And in all my years of being here, there is never a town that gets the accolades that our town gets with plowing the streets. But sometimes you get some of those events that go on for hours and hours and hours. So talk about the process when you know it's going to snow, how you have to look for it, the salt, all that. What goes into preparing that? Because you guys really are second to none with that.
Yeah, because in the winter we're still doing things. So if a storm's coming, we'll, you know, get the trucks ready. We'll load them up with salt, let our guys know what's going on, the potential timing of the storm.
Usually a day before, the trucks are loaded up, full of salt, ready to go, just in case.
Right, because we know just in case, because even though I got in trouble from Ginger Z one time for saying this, but the weather is quite often wrong, including times where we'll get snow and not know it's coming. But so you've got to really, really be prepared ahead of time.
Exactly.
All right.
And we do have a service that will, send alerts and let our superintendent know that, hey, snow's on the way. So you get the guys out, we get them out there. We try to get the roads clean by the morning. Sometimes that's not possible depending on the timing of the storm. We'll typically go till 9 or 10 at night and then get the guys some rest, get them back in the morning to clean up for rush hour. So there's, it takes quite a bit, but all our guys, they seem to really enjoy what they do and take pride in being the best town around in snow plowing.
Yeah, no, they really are. They do a great job. But if they're out there for 10, 12, 14 hours, and it's probably all hands on deck out there plowing, their normal job is not being done. So how does that back up? How's that backlog? What happens there?
Correct. It's a balancing act. Guys are going to be tired throughout the day. Sometimes right after a snow event, because it's so cold out there, we have a water main break to follow. And those guys don't get a break. So it's a really tough act to try to get them the proper rest, get them to do their daily work that was planned, and then the snowstorm interrupts it. So it is a true balance act.
Yeah, it's tough. And how many people do you have working for you, Mark?
We have approximately 40.
About 40, okay. But that's in
including
all
support staff.
divisions
Yeah.
of that, yeah.
So during any given storm, we probably have close to 30 between, streets, water, sewer, buildings and grounds, fleet, everyone's out there. We do have some that are not plowing, so they can kind of take care of the day-to-day routine stuff that needs to be taken care of. Superintendents kind of step up and do the work of their people too to help out. So it's just all hands on deck, whatever we got to do.
Yeah, as you know, I worked in municipal government for 22 years as a policeman, and I handled my duties as a police officer. I was there with the fire department if we had an apartment fire, a house fire, or something like that. To me, the worst job I ever saw, and I don't like the cold, was these guys at Public Works down in a hole on a water main break at 2 o'clock in the morning when it's 10 below or something. I mean, that has got to be the crappiest job going.
But that's the best.
We actually joke around that it's the best job.
All right, that's it. Now you're telling me something. Wow. How on earth could that be a good job?
We don't like being out there.
Yeah.
But when you're the bottom guy, when you're down in the trench, that is actually the warmest spot to be out on that job.
Is that right?
If you'll come up soaking wet though,
Yeah.
and you will
cold.
instantly, all your clothes will turn to ice.
That's crazy.
So usually it's immediate, go in the truck, warm up, try to thaw out, and then get back to the job. And
Yeah. All right. Well, that's interesting.
down in the hole, it's actually the warmest.
Yeah.
You don't have the wind. You don't have the.
Well, either way, I'll take a pass. I want no part of that. So, well, since we're on the subject of that, let's talk about water mains, though. So, the water mains in our town are, 50, 60 years old, something like that? I know we also are on video, but I want you to talk too, buddy. Don't just nod that head.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. That's right. I know that that they're old, and we've done a good job talking about expensive, but replacing the water main on North and South Cedar on Route 30 because we were constantly having breaks. We've got a big project going on the north side where we're working on that. But, I mean, that's got to be a constant challenge for your team, staying on top of that with that infrastructure that's that old.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're playing catch up because up until 15, 16, 17 years ago, there was no replacement. It was just hope for the best.
Repairs.
Yeah, just do a repair as needed.
Actually, it wasn't 15. I've been a mayor for 18 years, so it was 18 years
Okay,
ago, pal.
My apologies.
There you
I was
go.
trying to remember how long you've been mayor.
18, pal.
Back when you were trustee, you didn't have much support.
That's right. I tried, pal. There was only so much I could do. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, now that we're investing in the infrastructure, we've had great boards that understand the importance of maintaining the infrastructure. So yeah, we did Route 30, we did Cedar, we did Vine. Now we're working our way through the north side, south of Wood.
With that being said, replacing Route 30 and Cedar Road water mains, that has greatly reduced the amount of breaks that we.
So why? How does it? Why? What is the correlation?
Because we've
there?
had so many breaks on those.
It was those where we were seeing the majority.
most, yep.
So why would that be? Is that
Age,
Okay.
pressure, ground movement.
okay?
The amount of trucks that travel.
So all right,
Yeah.
so it's
drowns, yeah.
all right. So that's impacting all of that, as opposed to a small residential side street or
Right.
something. All right, well that makes a lot of sense. All right, well, talking about infrastructure, one of the other things that's going on, of course, is we are building a new wastewater treatment plant, and that's an expensive proposition. But we have 3 currently, and one's at capacity and another one's near capacity. Talk a little bit. They've been around for how long, these wastewater treatment plants?
The one in the center of town's been there for probably 50 years.
Okay.
The one on the south side of town, I think we're looking at 30, 40 years.
But it's right in the heart of a residential
Right.
neighborhood.
Yeah,
It's
it's right
crazy,
in the
yeah.
neighborhood. And then the one up north is only 20 years old. I say only 20 because
Right.
it's newer. But with the influx of everything going on up there, that plant will be at capacity before you know it. So we're already making plans to Plant 1 in the center of town will be turned into basically a pumping station, the same with Plant 2 on the south side. And we have, our engineers are working on getting the Plant 3 turned into a pumping station to pump it all to the new facility.
Yeah, now that's expensive. People talk, and I'll get our finance director in here at some point, but one of the things that we see all the time are people saying, my water bill is too expensive. Why? There's only 2 of us living in the house. And of course, someone's always saying, I only shower once a week. Why the hell is my bill so expensive? But the reality is, even without turning on the faucet or flushing the toilet, you've got to pay for this infrastructure.
Exactly.
Now, I mean, and that's the one thing, and that's on your water bill. And I think that's
You're
the
paying
thing that,
for a service brought to your house,
Right.
regardless of water usage.
that's right. Yeah, no, there was a business owner that was bitching to me about the water and saying, I barely use it. I said, well, how do you think it gets there? I mean, you have to pay for it getting there. So we have the Lake Michigan water line that we brought in 2001. That we're still paying for, of course. And we have the redundant water line for Lake Michigan water that we're paying for. Our end of that is around $45 million. And this wastewater treatment plant is in excess of $100 million. But you have to have it. I mean, we're at capacity. I mean, it's not even that we think you have to have it. We know you have to have it. But the EPA is telling us we have to have it, right? I mean,
Yeah, the whole thing was Plant 2 was going to have to be expanded or redone. So our consultants looked at it. It's like, what, maybe it makes sense with Plant 1 being sold, Plant 2 needing to expand. Maybe it makes sense to do a regional facility, and that's what we landed on, because otherwise it'd just be an ongoing maintenance nightmare and probably cost us more in the long run.
And it's taking a long time to get done, but there's a lot of right-of-way that we have to acquire. There's a lot of pipe that has to be put in. I mean, it's a lengthy project.
It's a very, very in-depth project. A lot going on. A lot of pipes to, like you said, to be run all the way from Route 6 all the way down to Laraway Road. So it's going to take 3-4 years, but in the long run, we'll all be better off for it.
Yeah, we definitely will. I mean, that's what keeps the quality of life going here. Like you said earlier, it's not sexy. It's not things that people want to talk about. It is expensive. But if you don't do that, if you don't take care of that,
We'll be in trouble.
big trouble. Yeah. I mean, not only with, the federal government, the EPA, but we'll be in trouble because quality of life won't be here. Who'd want to live here if you don't take care of the infrastructure?
Exactly.
So we take care of the roads too. So one of the things that we did as well was said that we would go from repairing 1.5 miles of road a year or repaving 1.5 miles of road a year to 7 miles. I know you work with our engineer, kind of look at these streets. Everybody thinks their street is the worst.
Absolutely.
But how do you go out there and assess that? What's the process that happens there?
There is a rating process, and actually this year we're going to have a consultant assist us with that rating process. So it's a combination of age and condition. Just because there's a couple holes here and there, that doesn't make it terrible. There's other ones where underneath is crumbling, and you can tell the entire road's falling apart and needs to be taken care of. Otherwise, it's going to be a nightmare come winter if we ever have to plow again with the nice winters we've been having. But
Yeah.
it's a process, and we hope to get every road done within 20 years.
Right, because that's about the
average,
lifespan,
yeah.
right? What about
To that regard, though, if the road is crumbling and we're due for water main replacement, we may hold off 1 or 2 years like we did on Haynes and Kimber, and replace the water main first because majority of it does go in the road. So it doesn't make sense to repave a road, dig it back up to install new water main, and then repave it again.
Yeah, that's a good point, because those might have been roads, but for the water main would have been replaced earlier, the roads.
Correct.
Well, you're right. Why put in a new road and then
So
tear
it may
it
take
up?
a year or two longer, but it'll be done the correct way.
No, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And the north side of town, we've talked about that a little bit. That's an area, quite frankly, because most of the growth was happening out south. I mean, I really feel like that's an area of town that kind of got neglected for a long time. But I think we're really trying hard to make up for that and to make those repairs out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's talk about another thing that's confusing. Well, first of all, people don't always understand, and it is different from municipality to municipality, but here in New Lenox, we're responsible for the village, which is, our public works, our police, our village hall services, but we have a fire protection district, we have a library district, there's township government, so, we are not responsible. Schools, of course, are separate. The village here doesn't oversee all of those projects, but when it comes to your department, it really is kind of a patchwork deal as far as the township, the county, the state, the village for roads. There have been times where someone said something, why don't you fix this road? And I said, well, it's not ours. Oh, you're just passing the buck. No, I'm not passing the buck. If we don't own it, we don't own it. Why don't you ask me about it? Yeah, why don't you ask me about a road in Plainfield? It's the same thing. If we don't own it, we don't have it. So kind of give a talk about those intergovernmental workings that we have and things that we do try to help each other out with and things we can't help each other out with.
Yeah, it's, like you said, it is a hodgepodge, and there's areas where it goes from village to township to even Joliet, even Homer Township.
On the same road.
Yeah, I'm saying it's hard for a resident to probably understand who they should call for what. They're more than willing. They're welcome to call us. We'll guide them in the right direction. We're not passing the buck. We're trying to give them the information on where they need to go. So,
or they can just go to Facebook and tell us how we're not taking care of stuff.
Absolutely.
I mean, they could do that too.
Or Google it.
Yeah, sure.
Google's
Google
a
has a lot of
good
answers.
resource for
Yeah,
that.
that's right. No, but it's understandable that people are confused by that because, I mean, I'll guarantee you that most of the people who live here or work here don't know that. I mean, you talk about going down Joliet Highway west from Schoolhouse, up to Princeton, it's ours, and then it's not ours, and then you get to Spencer, and it becomes ours again, and then you get over to Tracks, it's not ours. I mean, it's really, really confusing for people.
Absolutely. And it's, up until a few years ago, there's a subdivision off of Galga Road. It was a Lockport address, but they were Village New Lenox residents, so that makes it even more complicated. So yeah, they're more than welcome to call us. We'll steer them in the right direction. If our people don't know the answer, we'll get the answer and we'll get back to you.
So what's the best way for people to get a hold of you if they have an immediate concern and maybe it's after hours, or if they just want to ask a question and get a response?
Well, immediate concern after hours, you're going to want to call the non-emergency police dispatch.
That's for a lot of water main breaks, sewer backups.
Yeah, if that's an immediate need, give them a call. They'll get a hold. We have people on call for every department, so they'll call them out. During the daytime, call the village hall, call the public works. We're always there to.
And we can report a complaint.
Yes, you either report a complaint on on our website. So there's, all our emails are on the website as well. So there's a million ways to get a hold of us if you need something.
And I feel like with our emails, we respond fairly quickly to them, especially if it's a dire need. We check them all the time and respond fairly quickly to them.
No, you really do. I like to give you a hard time, but the truth is, it's a great department. It's one that we're really, really proud of. So we talked how the snow is not happening as much as it used to, but what we are seeing on a regular basis are these 100-year rains that we seem to be seeing 2 or 3 times a year. When that happens, we have a lot of backups, sewer backups, that sort of thing. And people are calling and are understandably they're concerned. Why does that take so long? Why is this? I mean, we're taking care of all of our infrastructure. What happens with these manhole covers? They're backed up. Streets are backed up. What is the science behind that?
Well, the idea is, all of our stormwater goes to ponds. So those ponds, some, retain
They
the
should
water,
go to
some
ponds.
detain, some detain the water. So it's based on a series of pipes. It's designed to, exit at a certain rate so you don't flood a particular area. Just because there's water on the street, it's not getting to the houses. I think we had one a month or so ago. There's quite a bit of water in backyards, but it all went away. Everything seems to be working as it should. It's designed to back up to a certain point, but if your house is, if your yard is pitched right and graded correctly, you're not going to see that water in your house unless you have some other issues in your foundation or something like that. So,
Well, and that's important. That's why, we want people to pull building permits if they're doing work at their home. It's not just, because we want to make $25 or whatever the hell we're charging for a building permit. If they change the grade, if they do something wrong, it could affect their neighbors or their own home as well.
right, it's more us helping you save yourselves. I mean, we've had instances, where people built a patio on the side of their house, and then they're getting water in there, so they claim there's no permit on it, and unfortunately they had some damage. So we're here to help, and
Yeah.
$25 is a pretty reasonable fee to help you with something like that. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't even come close to covering our costs,
Not at
but it does, like you say, help prevent some potential issues in the future. All right, so water quality. I see that being asked, and I mean, when I see, quite often what I see on social media are some great questions, but then the experts chime in and it's all bad information.
Yep.
But I have seen some really good questions, people concerned about, what's the quality of our water? I see a different color. I have a smell. How does that happen?
So I'll start off by saying we have a routine sample plan. We collect samples weekly and ensure that the water quality is of the highest quality. We're monitoring our chlorine levels. We're monitoring how much water we're using, all of that. When you see some sediment in the water, that could relate to we may be out there flushing. If you're on a dead-end line, we may be flushing that line to improve that water quality. But other than that, if residents have questions about water quality or why the water has a tint to it, they could always contact Public Works, and we could always take a water sample for them to ensure that the water is safe for them to consume.
a lot of times there's internal factors as well, with water softeners, hot water tanks, things go bad over time and it can affect your water quality. So, like you said, call Public Works, we'll come out. Don't call a plumber, don't, call us out.
Let us diagnose
Yeah,
it first.
We diagnose it, you're paying taxes to us, we'll steer you in the right direction.
And it is amazing at how many people have water softeners and don't even realize it. We'll go to a house because they have red water, and we ask them, hey, do you have a water softener? No, we don't have that. We got rid of it. We go down in the basement, there's a water softener that they think that they unplugged so the water softener doesn't have water going through it, but really you have to bypass it in order for it to not have water going through it.
Now, these are for people who had systems prior to us getting Lake Michigan
Yeah,
water?
uh-huh.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So they're, because I had one
When we
years
get the
ago,
call,
yeah.
we can almost guarantee that we're going to find a water softener there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So even though they unplug it, if it hasn't been
Water's
bypassed
still
around
going
it,
through.
it still will go through there, and that will cause some of those issues.
Correct.
All right. And you see that too a lot when people get high water bills. I know we try to monitor those and notify them, but a lot of times that's what, leaky toilets. I mean, what running toilets? What is it?
Yeah, I think leaky toilets is the number one. Outside spigots being left on.
Sprinklers.
Sprinklers. Yeah, sprinklers are. Oh, I only sprinkle
run them
for 2
nonstop.
hours a day. Well, yeah, that's
That's a lot of water.
120 minutes at 30 gallons, 40 gallons a minute. That goes pretty quick.
Yeah.
Luckily, with our new water meters, we can actually see the hourly usage. So those new water meters have greatly reduced appointments and reasons why, because we can say, hey, from 9 p.m. until 3 a.m., it looks like you were watering your grass
Okay.
because you're using 500 gallons an hour, and nothing inside should use that much.
All right. So we talk about the ills of social media, and one of them is conspiracy theories. And you bring up these smart water meters, where we can just drive by and monitor. Is that how that works?
We
or-
actually have an antenna on top of our water tower that collects all this data, hourly reads, pressures, and it'll actually give us an alarm when you use water consistently for 24 hours.
in an individual home or business.
Correct.
All right.
And we'll actually notify the resident, hey, you might want to look into something at your house. You may have a toilet running.
All right. So for the people that have concerns about Big Brother, tell me about that. That's all it does, right? It just monitors your
Yeah,
water.
I have one in my house. He has one. We're probably some of the first people just because we know the benefits of it. I don't care what you're doing at your house, and I'm not going to. I don't think any of us want to know what some people are doing.
Definitely not.
So, yeah, it only collects data related to water.
That's all it does. And now it's mandatory for these new meters, or
It's not mandatory yet. We're getting to the point where we may start forcing the issue on some. Some of the older meters where it's a mandatory thing because they're not working, they're slowing down. Over time, the brass meters slow down. People think, oh, you know what, I had a high bill, my meter must be broken. If it was broken, you wouldn't be getting that high of a bill. No. So you had some sort of issue.
You have a very cheap bill.
Yeah. So we're getting close to being done with the entire north side with the new meters. Obviously, all the new construction. Then we occasionally will put out something in the newsletter. Hey, if you want your meter changed out, let us know. So we'll say it again here. If you want one of these new meters, we can let you know about the leaks ahead of time. And all information will go to the mayor.
it usually does.
Yeah, so
it usually does.
Give us a call at Public Works.
All right, let's just skipping back a little bit. One of the things we hear about, of course, is mailboxes being damaged when we're out there plowing, and that the plow's going too fast down the street. But the plow has to move at a certain speed, I'm sure, in order to throw it. So what's the physics behind that as well?
So when you're snow plowing, not that I do it anymore, but when you're snow plowing, you have to go a certain speed to get the snow over the curb. Otherwise, we'll be getting calls. Hey, the snow's still on the street, So we do have to go a certain speed to be able to get that snow over the curb.
And your mailbox is supposed to be set back a certain distance or whatnot, right?
Yeah, it's not supposed to hang over the curb where the plow can physically hit it. Now, there's also times where, if you're going at whatever speed it is, if your mailbox is brittle, it may get knocked down. If we go too slow on some of these storms, it starts rolling up the snow into big balls, which can then take out the mailbox. So it's kind of a fine line. You're trying to get the right speed to get it over the curb without damaging the mailbox. Sometimes it happens. Just call Public Works. We'll get you something temporary out there, and we do have a reimbursement program. So if you call, ask for a temporary mailbox or whatever, we'll either fix it, give you a temp, and then we'll put you on the list for the spring so we know that it was damaged in the winter, and then we'll reimburse your expenses to put up a new mailbox.
And of course, it's just logical. If it's a wet, heavy snow, that's going to do more damage than one of those lighter.
And I would even say 95% of the time, it's the snow that damages the mailbox. It's not the actual plow or the truck itself.
Well, right, but it's the snow that's thrown from the
Correct,
plow.
yes.
Right, yeah, exactly. No, oh yeah, no, I'm sure.
Not our
it's not a plow
drivers.
hitting it. No, that's just they have to move the snow.
You see a big
so.
line of sod leading up to the mailbox.
Then we know
Good
it's a
chance
problem with the driver?
It was probably the driver.
Well, no,
Probably
Chris
over there.
isn't doing it anymore. he said,
There's
so
a
that
reason
won't
he's not
happen.
doing it. Yeah, he's
We took them off the
Yeah.
road. Some nice services we provide for people. Talk a little bit about branch pickup, leaf pickup. What does that look like for our?
Yeah, so the branch pickup, that typically starts in April. It's every 2 weeks. Just put your branches out of the curb. Don't take down whole trees, but, branches fall down, you want to trim your trees. We come around and pick them up. You do have to call and request that service. We'll put you on the list. We'll come out and get them.
So do they tie them up?
Don't tie them up. Just put them out there. Have all the ends facing one way, so it's easier for the chipper for the guys to get them in the chipper. And then, we'll take it from there. So call Public Works to set up that appointment.
Okay.
As far as the leaf pickup goes, that's typically in the fall. We do that for, I think, 6 weeks. You don't have to call for that. One thing people don't understand is, well, my pile's been out here for 5 days. Why haven't you gotten it? I put it out there last weekend. Well, depending on time of season and what's going on, it could take us 5 days to get through the entire town.
Sure.
We work weekends too, if need be, but we get through the town every single week. We have 2 leaf vacs now, so they kind of start one north, one south, meet in the middle. So they're out there every day picking them up. You don't have to call for that. They just go up and down every street. So have it out there by Monday morning, and it'll get picked up within.
And
the
make
week.
sure that no cars are parking in front of the leaf piles,
Sure.
Our truck and trailer can't get in to tight spaces.
Right.
And don't pile them behind mailboxes, and don't put
Sure.
stakes or
Hydrants.
only leaves. You put
Sure.
other stuff in there, it clogs up the.
And we've got some information. I think, Don, you've done some informational stuff on leaf pickups that's on YouTube and on Channel 6 and whatnot. So there are informational videos out there. I don't know if you got to just look up on YouTube new Lenox leaf pickup or something. I'm sure you'll find it, right, Don? Is that what's going to be under? Also on the there you go. It's also on the Public Works webpage. Because it's understandable. People don't know exactly what they're supposed to do with the leaves or branches and how you want it done to make it efficient. So it's good that they can go to the website and look at that and find that out. All right, let's talk about this here. Our New Lenox Public Works Department is an accredited agency meeting over 500 qualifications of the APWA, only one of 10 in all of Illinois, and one of 213 across the United States and Canada. Hold on, we got to say that again. The United States and our 51st state, Canada. Okay, yeah. Oh, my God. Why? First of all, why we'd even want that as a state is beyond me, but whatever. But that's unbelievable. Only one of 10 in Illinois and one of 213 in our country and in Canada?
It's not an easy process, and our first time around, I think it took us a good 3 years. There are a lot of practices, and for each department, there's I think water there's 50 to 60.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what the APWA wants to see is you have policies, procedures, how you do things. Basically, it's if somebody came in off the street and wanted to know how can I do public works. Here it is.
Show them this binder and
So
read away.
Yeah, it's a long process. A lot of the information, it was all in people's heads, and this is the way we've done it. This is how we do it. But this allowed us to take a look at it and go, does it make sense to do it this way, or is there a better way? So we had input from all the employees, who then collaborated with their superintendents, and then so we had several approval processes within Public Works before we went to the APWA and said, here, come take a look at this. Now, they come out for 3 days every 4 years, just to make sure we're keeping up on things. Every 2 years, they take a look at it. It's on a website, so they make sure we're keeping up to date.
And it's a good way to keep up on our policies,
Yeah.
Things are always ever changing, so it's a good way to, if we need to change something, to get it down in writing.
Well, it's incredibly impressive, and like you said, most people don't really know what you're doing all day. I mean, they do see that our town is in good repair. Clearly, you're doing a good job, but the level of professionalism that exists and to be able to be accredited like this, it's such a rarity for a town to have that in North America. I mean, that's really, I have to tell you, I didn't know that till you sent this to me. I mean, I knew you guys did a great job, but I mean, that's really incredibly impressive.
Yeah, I think we were the fifth or sixth in the state, and since then we've been accredited since I believe 2019.
And now there's only 10 in
And now
the
there's
state.
10. I know our neighbors in
lot of
Homer
work.
Glen are looking at it. We've talked to them about it.
Sure, help them out.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we like to do that. All right, anything else you guys want to say? Anything else you think the residents need to know or hear?
If you ever suspect, I'm going to go on my water department.
Yeah, please.
If you ever suspect a water main break, call it in. We would be happy to look at it, verify if it is one. Do not wait until the morning or 3 p.m. on a Friday to call it in.
Right.
We'd rather get it right away. And
Yeah, because that's just dollars going away. And a lot of people, like you said, they just look at it like, yeah, it looks like it might be something, but don't
then
necessarily
they
call
watch
it
it
right
for
away.
2 days
Yeah.
and call in on Friday. And
Yeah, there's it's really a good point. There's an old saying, you'd rather be called and not needed than needed and not called. And so you've got a great website. We've got the report a complaint. You've got people who are working all the time on call all the time, 7 days a week. So if it's after hours and it's something important, they can call the non-emergency police department number that you gave out. And really, you're incredibly responsive to the needs of this community, and I would tell you if you weren't doing your job, people would know it. I mean, you really are very critical to the great quality of life that we have come to expect in this town. So on behalf of the community, I want to say thank you. You guys really do a good job.
Thank you.
You do a good job. Yeah, I mean, I'm really impressed with the people that are there, and if he doesn't watch his P's and Q's, buddy, maybe you'll be sitting over there next time. We'll bring the next one up or whatever. He's all right for a Dave Matthews fan. We'll take it. All right, I'm Tim Baldermann, and for this edition of Too Honest for Social Media, I want to thank our guests for being here today. You've heard what they had to say. They give it to you straight. That's factual information. Don't listen to the experts on Facebook. Come right here and get it. And if there's anything else you need, we would always encourage you to reach right out for any one of our departments, but certainly our public works that oversees water and sewer and streets and everything else. Please reach out. We're here to serve you. And guys, please pass along to everybody how much we appreciate what they do. Remember, an informed public is accurate representation's strongest ally.